Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. How is everyone doing today? Good morning, Zello. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Mark. How are you? Your first day going full time. I'm looking forward to live daily commentary. Well, I look forward to you being here. Congratulations on going full time. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Sterling. Thank you for putting in the earnings. Sorry, I've been up since midnight uh, with another sick dog. Oh, it's a problem when three of the four dogs are really old at this point. So I'm a little tired. That's why it's a little lower energy today. Little lower energy. So let's just try to get through this. Sterling, thank you for putting in the earnings. We got Microsoft beat stock down 6.8. Bad cloud results on that one. That's why it's down. You got Meta dumping all their money into AI. Let's see how this is going to turn out. But it was a beat. They did have better results, but I mean, just dumping all their money in AI. This is gonna be a fun one to watch. Up nearly 10%. Tesla beat up 1.66%. IBM beat. Oh, waste management. Oh no, a miss down 1.12. By the way, not this weekend, but next weekend, waste management Phoenix Open for all those golf fans. The rowdiest golf tournament out of them all. So, uh, Las Vegas Sands. Oh well. Oh, so much for them. What else do we have? There you go. Whirlpool going down the drain. Miss 10.34. Good morning, Jacob. Today's earnings, thank yous for putting in today's. Also, MasterCard. I saw that beat stock up. Caterpillar beat stock up. Lockheed Martin beat stock up. Nokia. Who wants Nokia? Beat stock down 6.6%. Good morning, Yogi. What else? I don't need to go through some of these. Oh, there we go. Altira beat stock down 2.78%. What else? Tractor Supply. Down 4.32. Good morning, Daniel. How are you? From the zone? Are you back in Arizona, Daniel? What else do we have? I don't need to go through everything. Thank you for putting them all in here. Hello, Charles. That's all Sterling's got for us this morning. Well, thank you for all that hard work. Good morning, Jake. All right. We had the Fed pause as expected and reiterating that there are no rush to cut rates. Trump was out this morning on True Social calling Powell a moron and we should have the lowest rates in the world. That sums up that. Hey, Charles, what's with the salute? A half face salute. How do you get a half face salute? Uh, we had jobless claims come out a little higher than consensus for initial jobless claims, was still down from prior. Continuing jobless claims continue to drop. Uh, what else? We got factory orders at 10 p.m. 10 a.m. We got some 4 and 8 week bill auctions, but very quiet day now. Tomorrow we have the PPI for December. Look at our map. There's your Microsoft down. There's your Meta up. Google there's so mega caps are mixed with Amazon and Microsoft down, but and Nvidia flat. There's your IBM up 8.44%. Chips taking pause. Energy with crude hitting at 87.5% level. Energy strong. There's your Visa, MasterCard. By the way, what do we have after the close? We have Visa after the close. Visa rising on MasterCard's results. And we have Apple after the close. So keep those in mind. Good morning, Ted. Groups. There's your comm services, energy, and basic materials. Gold's gone absolutely psychotic. Technology is down. What's this? Good morning, climate change clowns. Doesn't the climate always change? March has a pause. Remember, no Fed meeting in February. March has a pause for 86%, and so does April. And then replace Powell, and we're back down to cut. So we shall see fear and greed. Solidly in greed mode. Schiller PE 4102. Good morning, Heinrich. Be interesting to see that meta stock, I think, in double bottom was invalidated, but still looked good. What else do we have? Sorry for the low energy. Been up since midnight. I'm keeping an eye on these little. These aren't the best form doubles yet, but they are still valid. So I'm keeping an eye unless the on a 4 hour basis. Again, you could 1 hour could be a if it does trigger, I'll be watching the 1 hour, but then I'll still need a follow through on the 4 hour. But that key low is 69.7725 on a closing basis. Other than that, and it is against the daily rotation zone, so normally I wouldn't be focused on this, but if we do drop, I'm really focused on this the 25% harmonic. It is not an official target, but it's near the bottom of the daily rotation zone, so 69.60. Then I'll look for 69.44, 69.28, 69.11 if it does trigger. Other than that, if it goes to the upside, well, we're going to use our little reverse harmonics to figure out the invalidation point. And look at this. Look at this. So 70.51, if we break, especially above, now I'm looking really closer to about 70.22, 70.21 for the key. If that level turns into support, then I'll be looking at about 70.38. Raise stop at 70.51, and look at all the cluster up here, right around 70.60 is a major target if we break to the upside. So going in to the first 30 minutes, I'm keeping an eye on the 70.22 area, 70.21 for it to turn into some kind of support. And then really you got to get above 70.28, but I'm keeping an eye. We keep dropping back below this area. So we tried to turn this into support earlier in the European session. Reinforce this level a couple times. I mean, I could go maybe 70.23. It's in this area that I'm looking at. Again, these don't try to treat it as an exact wall or level. It's an area for this. But you see here it was rejected prior, broke above it, but then re-broke below it. I'd probably go off 70.23. I'm raising it 70.23. And then the short term in the open breakdown right around 70.14. Other than that, still holding the rotation zone. Gold has been, it's just going, what would make crude a longer term hold? It's a medium term play for me right now. Unless it drops back below the 50 EMA. We can look. We'll get to it. This is not the strongest formation, but it still technically qualifies. Nasdaq 25, 933.25 on that closing basis. If we look here, the rotation, the 8 EMA is around that 25% harmonic. Remember, that's not an official target, but I am going to be looking at it because it's right where the rotation zone is. The official targets are 25, 815, 25, 726, 25, 637. Other than that, this one would be off the table if I could click, and if I could click, and if we get above 26,438. But right at the prior all-time highs, we have a little cluster right there. Just looking at this right now, the key breakdown area is about 26,110. And the breakout areas, guys, is staying above about 26,270. Well, it looks a little weaker. Again, that's why I'm watching this double. This double. But it's going to be interesting to watch after the open. Dow's gone a whole bunch of nowhere. Still testing the key breakout level from that was established right after Christmas, and then we broke through it beginning of January and dipped below it, but keeps holding this level. The Dow's not really interesting me right now, but breakout above about 49,420. Break down, I'm not looking until we get below 48,870. Russell, we do have a little head and shoulders pattern still in that neckline. I am being patient unless the Russell drops below. It can still break the neckline, but with the rotation zone right there, 26,640 area starts triggering the bigger pullback in the Russell. Okay, if we are looking at the official targets for the head and shoulders, it hasn't broken yet. It's just confirmed, but it hasn't broken through. So these levels might change. But we're roughly looking, and it might never trigger, but we're roughly looking at about 2,600, 2,570, and 2,543. But we don't know where that's going to be yet. I'm really focused on first off 20, 26, 21 if we do start breaking down. VIX still climbing a bit, still holding this trend line. The only way I can get really bullish on the markets is if the VIX starts dropping below this trend line. Other than that, I'm going minorly bullish choppy unless these 4-hour doubles trigger. Then I'm going choppy. If they trigger with momentum, I'm going to choppy bearish. The DAX, not much to talk about here. Breaking down, broke that key support level, testing the 50. Going to be watching where it closes today. Is this in pullback double? I don't even know if this would qualify. Oh, I got to re-anchor myself. Re-anchor. All right, 24,622. Spike below it. So let's see. That's qualifies on that level, but on here, yeah, it would qualify as a little mini double bottom. So that's the only thing I'm watching from the bullish case on the DAX, unless we get some other buy set up before. But if we start closing below the 50, I'm going to turn into cautious mode. What else? The yields. Trying to pull back, yes, a little earlier, but bouncing back at this point. If it gets above 4.279, just remember 4.8, it's in minor double top territory. And that would have to trigger before I change my stance on yields because we still have the unfolding inverse head and shoulders. Crude, here's you go for your crude. Coming up, very key spike high from back in September. Going to be watching where it closes today. If we ratchet up to the next harmonics, we might tip it to where it's still 66.63 and then 68.57. 68.57, 68.50 is a very interesting level too because that was a prior key resistance area. All right. So the only thing in the short term, unless the more medium term, I'm watching the 50 EMA, but the short term with the sort of hooking up 200 and the rising 8 EMA, I'm paying very close attention to that if we do pull back. There is no topping pattern yet. There's not even a pause pattern. Natty gas still has a potential double top on the 4-hour basis. Gold, here you go. Just breakaway series of gaps generally signals a blow off top. So now the trailing level is really, I'm keeping an eye on yesterday's high at this point, 54.10. 54.10, but this is getting, here's your monthly chart of gold. Gold in 1 month up nearly 28%. Silver in 1 month up 72%. This has turned into, we've turned metals into a meme. So There we go. By the way, the potential double in silver is off the table. So now I'm paying close attention to 115.50. 115.50 is my key level in silver in the short term. By the way, copper also, there goes your copper. There goes your copper. So do not have another key harmonic. Just if we move this from forward, we can move the reverse to forward and see where that falls. The pausing bar on the forward, and that takes us to roughly 660. If we go through there, I'm looking at $7. Dollar trying to stable again. I don't have a good sell pattern yet. This is going to get interesting. Really going to be important to see where this week closes to see if it regains the 96.20 area or not by the week close. Because if that does, we might be getting a false breakdown. Other than that, if we do set, I'd still be looking for a sell pattern on any bounce. But I'm getting a little more hesitant with it going to new lows unless we go have a major breakdown. Euro, I'm watching 119.20 on a closing basis. Okay, we spiked just through that harmonic and then pulled back. I'm still looking for a potential buy bounce pattern for a secondary reaction, but that secondary reaction is going to be critical in the euro and the dollar. 10-year yields, not much going on. The yen is bouncing off a very key support level right now. Still no great pattern. I'm going to be watching how it reacts as it turns back down below about 152.50 again, if that happens. All right, spiders. Spiders gap up today, so on any rollover play. What was yesterday's open? I do not. 697.05. So that's going to be first level of resistance in 697.84 and blow through there. Let me put up the minor levels now on the reverse. The minor levels then I'd be 698.50 and then 701 to 701.75. If we do roll over, I'm focusing on the gap fill to where is it? 695.42. And a very key breakdown level is right around 693.75. The Qs, not much to talk about here. It's a little slight gap down. So the gap fill would be to 633.22. Then there's very key levels around yesterday's open. On a rally, 635.45 area. If we take out 637 the upside, the next harmonic is not till 644. On a breakdown level now, your key support is coming in around just above 627. IWM, I'm paying the pattern's cleaner on the futures. I'm still looking, and the rotation zone's a little farther away. So in order for me to get more bearish on the IWM, it really has got to break below 261. All right, I'm missing a lot of the chat. Hold on. Bitcoin rejected yesterday from resistance and breaking back down. So I'm going to be watching to see if this gets into double territory, and that's the only thing that could make me short-term bullish again. What else do we have? Comcast from earnings has a potential daily double top that is trading right at the 62.5 retracement to the trigger point after earnings. Let's take a look. I have not looked at that stock in a while. Thank you, Sterling. Sterling. Yeah, you do have, is that, not doubting you, I just have to check for myself. Yep, completely valid. Sterling is completely right. So, There's your little, oops. Oh boy, I need some sleep. Yeah, completely valid. Very interesting. P to E ratio 4.76. This would be a tough one for it. This would be something could be interesting on a pullback again. What else do we have? IGV software is really suffering from AI narrative. Microsoft rollover back down. Well, if we look at Microsoft, remember, Microsoft still has, from the massive double, it's back down to the second target again. Had its pre-earnings rally. That did not invalidate. We'll double check. Did not invalidate because was nowhere near the invalidation point. So, and 445 is the second target again. And then if it heads lower, because look at this, the 200, which was support, resistance again. The bigger picture gets really interesting. I just want to check something on Microsoft. If we look at here, that's third target, or the third target is right around that 50% harmonic. So this is the new magnet area for me. And then the key line in the sand is 409.85. Because if you break below that, we could easily test a 200 week, which we have not reconnected with since January, December, and November when we put in the massive bottoming pattern. This was technically not a reconnect. So we could easily see Microsoft, which is not trading cheaply on growth stalling out with their cloud stuff at 30 times earnings. So we could still see Microsoft over the next few weeks to a couple months reconnect with the 200. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. IGV. IGV. Had your little double top that played out. And the key line the center on IGV is 92.17. And that one also could reconnect with the 200. LMT, Lockheed Martin. Testing all-time highs after earnings this morning. No patterns yet. Again, Sterling, whenever you decide to leave the car business, you can take over the live stream. All right. Now, what would we do here if it takes out the highs? Well, what would I do here? I would put on my reverse harmonics for targets. Again, that doesn't mean where there's going to be some major resistance up there. But there's your, this is the weekly chart, by the way. Here's your daily. There is no, that's blown out. There was a minor double bottom, but or double top, but that's blown out with this move up. Going to be really, and there's still a gap left behind. Look at this. Look at this. There's still a gap left behind to 614.78. I'd actually be shocked if it didn't fill that gap. So I would be shocked if it didn't fill that gap. But there you go. Visa's a very well formed. It does have an interesting little pattern there. If it beats though, and it gets above this, this is going to be interesting because Visa, if it beats, let me just check on MasterCard. I mean, we're up on that. MasterCard also has a gap left behind, but I was looking at Visa because if it does a strong beat, there's a major gap left behind. There's a couple of them here. That's going to be interesting to look at. Are there micros for Natty Gas? I know there's minis because that's what I did not. There's your MNG micro natty gas. There's the minis. There's your micros. There's your NYMEX micros. So yeah, you can trade the micros on natty gas. There they are. Okay, that's a good. You're welcome, Eric. Yeah, big shout out to Sterling. Thanks for calling stuff out, Sterling. Thank you. All right. Has anything changed going to the open? Not really. Not really. So I'm going to be looking if the Nas pulls back to about 26,100 area. I'm going to be looking to see how it reacts there. Other than that, again, these markets, I'm not overly bullish. These are feeling very, very top heavy. And we do remember have Apple and Visa after the close. So let's just see how it reacts to that. And I will see everyone to wrap up the week tomorrow. Hope you all have a wonderful. By the way, Tesla still it actually has an inverse head and shoulders and a double bottom. It qualifies for both. I'm not sure it's going to trigger before it rolls over, but that's just there for all you Tesla people. With that, I'll talk to everyone later. Bye for now.